This is your girl, Ms. Entertainment. I am your host for Let's Talk About It. So, welcome to my world. We're getting ready to start in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Hi, and welcome everybody to part 5 of this 5-part discussion of pivoting in a virtual world with Miss Amy Loudermilk, talent acquisition guru and personal branding expert. I'm your host, T.S. Edwards, also known as Ms. Entertainment. Check out my website at www.tsedwardsauthor.com or catch me on IG at tsedwards_author. So, in case you missed part 1 through 4, we talked about personal branding, job search and resume writing, interviewing, and salary negotiation. Miss Amy, she gave us so much information to use when we're making that move for another job. So you can catch those videos on my YouTube site, Ms. Entertainment. So let's go ahead on and get started with this part 5. Miss Amy, please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Amy Loudermilk. I have over 25 years in talent acquisition and recruiting and finding great talent, helping great companies and grow great people find that intersection together into a wonderful new career.
Awesome, 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 awesome. So here we are. We don't
I
went,
know.
we don't got the personal branding together. We got the job search. We did the interview. We get negotiated that salary. We got that job offer. It's like,
Yep. Got that
yay!
money, honey. Let's go.
We got the money we wanted, and we are ready to go. Okay, so now we got that done. So what's next? I mean, so we got that job offer. What do we do next? What's our first thing to do? We respond immediately. We give them to play the waiting game. Do we send a thank you letter? What do we do?
Oh, absolutely. Once you get that offer, the biggest thing is just plug into your email because just about any company that you work for, there's going to be a series of things that you need to go through, Teresa, from background checks to pre-employment paperwork, like filling out, tax forms and things like that, emergency contact sheets. So the number one thing after you say yes is really plugging into your email and making sure that you have created all, completed all documentation that may be being sent to you. We talked in session 2 when we talked about putting your resume together, starting your job search, about pulling your W-2s out to help you really even at step 1, write your resume. You may need that documentation to help expedite the background process. So again, just being prepared and again, staying plugged into that email because all of your next steps will more than likely come electronically.
Okay, cool. So what are the top things we should do when we're getting that new job and some of the things that we shouldn't do when starting that new job?
Yeah, so I think one of the biggest things is you definitely want to get familiar with your team, right? So you definitely want to take the time to get familiar with the people that are on your team, y- your manager, maybe even your next level manager, as well as what are kind of the processes and policies of that particular employer, because they're going to be different kind of every place that you go. And you just want to make sure that you're kind of aware of what those things are because they may impact how you do your job. They may aid you in doing your job, and they may set kind of guidelines for doing that. So you really want to get familiar. One of the first things you want to do day 1 on the job is go out there and update that LinkedIn, update your social media profiles so that people know where you are, how to get in touch with you, and also to be your tribe and just give you that extra encouragement, right? Because I
Mm-hmm.
don't care who you are and how great you are at your job, and how exciting it is to start a new place or a new role. We all still have those little doubts. And it cannot it cannot hurt you to be hyped up a little bit, right? With everybody kind of saying, congratulations, you've got this. Sometimes we need, especially our more introverted friends, sometimes need that extra little, rah rah to get going.
Okay. So, any suggestions? Okay, we made those connections with our management and all that other stuff. How do we, I guess, is there to quickly learn that job because you want to keep it.
Mhm.
So how do we, make sure we putting forth our best foot and we are really embracing the new position?
Absolutely. Um, Obviously, ask questions. Um, you know, do not be afraid to admit that you don't know it all. Because even if you are an expert in a particular software or at your specific job, or maybe an expert in your industry, have you ever done that job for that company? And if you haven't, then you're going to have questions. And it's better to raise your hand and have those questions answered up front than it is to kind of fake it till you make it and end up in a situation where you can't fake it and everything's just completely falling apart around you. Another great way, Teresa, is to really sit down with your manager and come up with a 30, 60, and 90-day plan. This will really set very clear expectations so that you know what is being asked of you, when is it deliverable, and it gives you something to track against in your one-on-ones with that manager. And if your manager is not scheduling a reoccurring one-on-one with you either weekly, especially as a new employee, you would really hope those would be weekly or bi-weekly, and then they will trail off usually to about once a month. Then ask for those meetings so that you can get that good temperature check, right? How am I
Mhm.
doing against what your expectations are? And I think communication is really key, and having those clear expectations up front will help keep you on track. It'll help keep you focused in that new role. And again, meeting your team and finding out what everyone's role is and how you can help each other, and leaning into what can they show you, shortcuts, tips and tricks. Use their expertise to help you ramp up.
Okay, so let's step back a minute.
Sure.
So on that first week, right? What should we be doing? Now I know we need to. Is there anything else in that week where we learning, trying to get to know our team, get to know our manager, and
Mhm.
maybe even the next level up? Is there anything else that we should be conscious of in that first week?
Really, your first week is just assimilating, right? For most people in most companies, it is your entire first day is usually spent in some form of orientation, learning about the company, their history, learning about benefits, some of the policies, um, and finding out kind of who the key players are. If there's any components of that that are not covered in that orientation, those are things you kind of want to think about that first week. What are the policies? What are the processes? Do I have access to all the tools that I need? What are additional resources that we have access to? Um, do I need logins, permissions, passwords? Making sure that you're really set up, acclimating to your space. Hopefully, your manager or your team will be having meetings so that you're getting introduced to folks. And one key person you're definitely going to want to try to meet in that first week to 2 weeks is one, the recruiter that brought you in. So if they're on site, you're on site, meet each other. If it's a remote, set up that meeting and touch base with them, and let them know how your first week is going. And then also your HR business partner. And there's a couple of reasons why the recruiter that brought you into the role and or your HR representative are really important people to know. And that's because they're usually the first folks to know when there's a job opening. And while we're super excited to have this position with this company, I think our end goal, hopefully, is to progress with that company into next steps and to really grow our career there. And so you're going to want to build relationships with those folks so that when they find out about a job, they're thinking of you top of mind and giving you a call and going, "Hey, Teresa, we just had this great project manager role open. I know you've expressed an interest in other things. This lends nicely to your background. Are you interested? Go talk to this manager."
Okay. Okay. So we talked about that first week, and we talked about the 30 and 60 and 90-day plan. Now,
Hmm.
so what else should I be doing to make sure I'm successful in my new position? Is there anything?
Absolutely. Well, definitely as you check off that 30-day, you're going to go to the next, right, 60-day mark, but create a whole new set 90 days out. So, in essence, you're always working off of 30, 60, 90, right? Every time. And so you're monitoring that, you're checking it. A good way to really enhance your skills and also to our last point about ramping up in a role, what does your company offer? Do they offer to pay for memberships into special interest or industry specific groups? Do they offer tuition reimbursement? Will they pay for certifications that you either may need very quickly to do this job in this industry, or is that something that you're interested in pursuing a little bit down the road? So, what do they offer from an internal and an external perspective? And one of the great places to start is most large companies will have some form of internal learning and development, and they normally offer courses. And those will vary from a very personal standard of time management skills to a more professional where they could be focused on learning a specific programming language or um, getting a special certification in your field of study. Those can be offered internally, and there are also partnerships with external vendors that provide those to your company. And so really lean into those. I definitely encourage people to not lose focus because we come in, right? We're so excited and we really do want to do a good job and we want to be successful. And you can start going, to your point, what not to do, right? You can start going really out there with some of this stuff and kind of cart before the horse. So you really want to pace it. So I recommend at least once a quarter, sign up for some type of course that's just kind of furthering your either, business, personal skill, like a time management, dealing with confrontation, having successful meetings, communicate clear communication, those types of courses, or courses that are going to further your professional toolkit
Okay.
that are specific.
Okay. Um, and once we, I guess it doesn't, it's okay to ask for who is your HR representative where without
Absolutely.
your management getting kind of like, hey, what you just started.
Yeah, and many times, Teresa, a lot of the organizations, your HR business partner will be the person that does your I-9. So generally, you will hear from them, but it's always just a good idea to know who is that rep because that is the person. So the recruiter really gets you in the door, and then your HR business partner. We kind of get you to the career, and then the HR business partner takes you through your career, right?
Mhm.
So once you're in the job, then we really hand off to them. And if you were ever to have any issues with a peer, your manager, if you have maybe there's a hiccup with your payroll, or you want to change your tax withholdings or things like that, your HR rep is really a great person to go to.
Okay.
And
So,
so it is good to know them. And most organizations will make sure that you've met them and that you're introduced to them pretty quickly.
okay. So everything is going great, which is great, but there are some times, and I can contest to this, that when you start a position and once you really start looking around and getting in there, you're like, oh Lord,
Yeah.
I might have made a
What
mistake.
did I sign up for?
What did I sign up for?
Yeah.
I mean, and with me, it was, positions before, but it's still, it's like you still want to do that great thing and great job. And it's
Yeah.
like maybe it's me, but then there comes a point where he's like, whew, I don't know about this one.
Yeah.
What do you do?
So I think every single person has been there, right? We've gotten into a job that was either so much more than we thought it was, whether that's positive or a little bit more of a negative challenge, right? The good thing is it's really about your perspective, and what you need to see it as an opportunity. Okay, because this is an opportunity for you to learn something about yourself, or maybe learn something new about the business and navigating a business landscape. And so, a couple of things that you should do is, again, make sure that you don't get so head down in the sand that you forget about number one thing, networking, both inside and outside the company, because this is a great way to get connected to other people. So I mentioned briefly about um, industry specific meetups, um, special interest groups outside of the company. But many companies have an ERG or a BRG. It's basically some type of employee resource group, and it may deal with you being a veteran. It may deal with you being African American, Latino, Asian. It may have to do with you being LGBTQ part of that community. But there are different groups in every business. Um, and most of your larger companies are going to have these type of groups. It's a great way to meet other people across the company. And why is that important? Because they're not doing your job. While your relationship with your manager and your peers is very important, and it's going to be critical to the success of your role and your team, it's equally important for you to know what else does this company do, because it's not only going to help you learn how to do your job better, but it may set up a foundation for you in the future. And generally, through networking with people inside the company in BRGs and outside the company in the industry, you're going to find a mentor and you're going to find a champion. And they should be two separate people. One of them you go to for professional advice, and the other one you go to as your hype, right? That's building you up and building your confidence. And sometimes it could be a matter of confidence. Now, if the role is really just more than you can bear, you can have that conversation with your manager. Do we need to realign our expectations? Is it too much involved in this particular role? Did I bite off maybe more than I can chew, or the expectations are higher than I feel I can deliver? And maybe, to your point, it's just a bad fit across the board. So, can I mentor and job shadow other jobs? Are there other places in the company that I might be better suited for? And could I job shadow and um, maybe even sit with someone on that team that does that job? Now, the key to doing that, because I can feel the question in your brain, I know how it works, is how do I talk to my manager about doing that? Especially if we're kind of in a tumultuous, you know, spot where they don't feel like I'm delivering and I don't feel like the job is for me. It's all about positioning, right? And how you approach it. And so if you approach it from the standpoint of, I would like to sit with this group because I think that's going to give me this skill, or that's going to help me learn how to do this job better, or we both have agreed in our one-on-ones that maybe this isn't the best fit, right? And I would like to stay with the company and I'd like to see what else might be there. Could I do this in my spare time outside of my normal kind of 9 to 5 job, my normal work hours, or is there an opportunity in this particular company for me to do that?
Okay. So, I get that. It's all about how you approach your management with that. But
Absolutely.
you still run that risk, like they looking at you side eye. It's like
Absolutely. And certain things, you can't help it. But I do think it's okay to call a spade a spade. And if you're doing the steps we talked about, where you have that 30 and that 60 and that 90-day plan, and you're having those one-on-ones, you should have a really good report card pretty quickly of how you're performing. And you should be able to tweak and manage that with your manager. Sometimes it's a management issue, and that's where it helps to have that relationship with that next level manager and also with your HR business partner, because those are conversations that you need to bring back. But do you see how it all kind of, does it make sense how it's all fits together? Like if you do the 30, 60, 90, and you do the one-on-ones, you know where you are much quicker. So you don't just wake up 6 months from now and go, oh my God, I hate my job. Right?
well, I guess I have that intuitive because I knew that this wasn't the right spot 2 days into it. So, but
Yeah. And we all have been there, right? And I think, to your point, if all else fails and you truly in your gut and heart of hearts know this is not it, this is not the company, this isn't the manager, there's like I just don't want to be here, period, then cut bait, because you're not doing anybody any favors. And that's time that you could spend actually looking for that right job.
and that's where I guess, and I'm just talking from my own personal experience on this particular position where I guess I didn't because it's like it's like it can't be. So it's like let me do
Yeah.
everything possible I can possibly do to make this better. But
Mhm.
even I mean, 2 days in it, I had a peer screaming at me, and I was like, who does
Yeah,
that
no.
on the job?
Yeah. Yeah. Right? There's like HR issues and then there's HR issues,
Oh
right?
yes, that was serious
So,
HR.
yeah. Yeah.
But I did. I hung in there and tried to. I tried to do everything possible, but it's still delayed the inevitable. So I get what you're saying. If it's really to
Yeah.
that point where your spirit is being compromised, cut your losses.
Absolutely.
Cut your losses.
Absolutely. Cut bait. Because chances are, if you followed most of the steps that we talked about from branding to negotiating, this wasn't the only offer. And there is nothing wrong with picking up the phone and saying, hey, XYZ company, um, I made a decision and I feel like I've done my due diligence here, and I think I would be open to, if the offer is still on the table or if we can continue conversations, I'd like to resume.
Okay. Okay. But you know
Yeah.
what? We're gonna stay on the positive side. I just want to still
We
touch on
are,
that
yeah. You
because it
know
does
what?
happen.
But exactly. And that's what I started to say. Like, kudos to you for bringing it up, because um you do work really hard and we all spend a lot of time doing our job, whether we're doing it alone, remotely, from the comfort of our PJs and a comfy office chair, to folks that literally work 80 hours a week. And it's too much of your life to be miserable. And while we talk a lot about research and um, how important that is, no amount of research can kind of prep you for every single scenario. And sometimes it's going to be a storm. So it's good that we're talking about it.
Good. So what else? Is there anything else that we should know when we're on that job? And it's like here, everything is going great. We got to get great
Mhm.
management. leadership team, and I can see myself really staying with this company and moving on
Yeah,
up the ranks. What how do I align myself and prepare myself to be able to give that contribution for myself to that company?
sure, absolutely. Um, Definitely, like I said, the internal networking is really important. I think that you want to maintain a level of relationship, not only with your manager, but your next level. And so schedule some coffees and some meets with folks that aren't even closely kind of related to your job, and then those that are, right? Because again, these folks are going to know about opportunities on their team as they come up. You're starting to build a rapport and relationship so that if they know you have an interest, I'm going to use that project management job as an example. They know that that job's coming up. The idea is that you want your HR business partner calling you and telling you this PM job's going to open. You want someone on that team or that manager calling to say, this job's going to open on my team. You want that recruiter calling you and saying, this job's going to open on my team, right? That personal branding does not stop just because you got the job. Networking does not stop because you got the job. In fact, it almost increases because now usually you're in a whole new company and there's new people to meet. Even if you're with the same company you've been with for 30 years, there's always new people for you to meet and a new part of the business that you either didn't know about. And again, not that you're approaching those people with the sole goal of self promotion, right? And promoting yourself. But it will also, they can teach you different things of the business, what they're working on that will just help you do your job better. Um, and then as you do those courses and things that we talked about, make sure that you keep a running list of those. And then once a quarter, put together an accomplishment list. Make sure that you include kudos that you got from different team members. And even if you got a not so niceogram, right? Like, hey, you could improve on this. Track your improvements towards that. And this is super helpful when you sit down with your manager or your HR team for your mid year or your end of year review. And also, if you're doing some type of self evaluation for your end of year performance, it'll really help you see that. And again, keep that resume updated because you should maintain and update your resume, to me, a minimum once a quarter.
Oh wow,
So four
really?
times a year, updating it. So every time you complete a course, jot it down. And if that needs to go on your resume, put it on your resume. Even if you're not looking for a job, keep that sucker fresh because when you are impacted, maybe the company sold, maybe there's a mass layoff, maybe there is a management change, and now this perfect dream manager is Nightmare on Elm Street, right? I mean, it happens. So once that happens, you want to be prepared to move really quickly because most of us cannot afford more than 30 to 60 days of unemployment to
Amen.
be job, right? We just can't do it. And so while it's great to say, let's cut bait and move on, that's just not a financial reality for a lot of people. And so it's really making the best of your situation. But if you've got that resume queued and ready, you're not recreating the wheel. You're going, you're running.
That's true. That's true. I didn't know that. But
Yes,
four times,
ma'am.
at least four times, once a quarter to keep it updated. So you don't really have to
Yeah,
sit and think about, oh, like, what did I do again? So that's
exactly. It's already there. You're just plugging and going.
good tips. Anything else, because we had a fantastic 5-part series and we talked
Yeah.
about everything about for is pivoting and getting that next position. Anything else you want to just discuss before we close it out?
No, I think the biggest thing um, that we've talked about really comes down to kind of two main points. One is self care, right? It's really, really crucial. you need to spend time getting to really know yourself. What are your weaknesses? What are your strengths? What is really important to you in your life and also your career? And how can I balance those together? Because that's going to help you pick the jobs that really matter and doing work that really enriches your life and uses your tools and your gifts. And then secondly, and this has been like my number one in really all five, is your research. You just have to. You need to know, where do you need to talk about your brand? What is your brand? And where do you need to talk about it? How do you utilize it to build your resume? Where do you put that resume? What companies are you targeting? What's important to you at those companies? And how do you push your gifts and talents, as well as what are the things I could receive from this company when you're interviewing, being prepared for that salary negotiation. So we're coming in valued, feeling good. And then now that we've got the job, making sure that we continue that self care, taking the time that we need off, taking the time that we need outside of the day to day responsibilities to network, to advance our, skills and our certification. Because I think we all are, I think we've all been guilty at some point in time of getting into a role where we just let everything go. We got all wrapped up in the job that needed to be done, either because there was so much work or lack of extra staff, or we just wanted to do a good job, that those things kind of fall by the wayside. So self-love, self-care, and research in all ways.
I will also add, like you were saying, just to reiterate, you can't get comfortable because until
Yeah,
you're working for yourself, the only thing that a company owes you is time rendered. So
yeah,
they can make that cut at any time, unfortunately. So
absolutely.
a friend of mine, he always said, if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready, as far as
Exactly.
your resume and all the stuff that you want to do. If you already have that plan, basically what he's saying, if you already have that plan B already ready to go, so it doesn't matter what plan A is doing,
Mhm.
you already know what your next step is. So
Absolutely.
so
And
then you don't worry so much about what they may do.
absolutely. And you bring up such a great point, because a big thing that most larger companies have been kind of bringing to the forefront is change management, right? And if you're a person that is not comfortable with change, myself included, it wasn't until I had absolutely no choice and change was just snowballing me and snowballing me and snowballing me, that I found a way to really tap into it, get comfortable with it. And that looked like a lot of internal networking, leaning on my tribe to hype me up when I felt like I just couldn't do it one more day, right? I couldn't take one more thing changing on me, whether it was a system upgrade to my computer, to like a management change or a staff change, for someone on my team, um, going through those learning and development courses that we talked about. Yeah, I think in today's workforce, like you're to your point, so good. You got to be ready for anything. And if you're not comfortable with change, get comfortable. Find a way to be able to navigate it without letting it snowball you, because then you just get in a situation that's not good for anybody.
Agreed. Agreed. So we are at the end of our 5.5
I
point
can't believe
series.
it's over.
we'll,
It's
figure,
been
we'll figure out something.
awesome.
We'll do something else. But let everybody know how you can be reached if they want to just, tap into you just person one on one.
Absolutely. So, um, I will set a goal of waking up tomorrow to at least 10 direct messages. So LinkedIn, obviously, first name, last name, Amy Loudermilk. There's a couple of us out there, but just look for, the redhead with the glasses. You will find me there. And also, I do utilize Twitter, and it is a loud Loud on Twitter. I am on Instagram. I haven't done a whole lot with it, but I am at Recruit Much there as well. And those are some of the most easiest ways to get a hold of me. And I do accept direct messaging on all of those. If all else fails, I am on Facebook as well. I do try to keep that open as well for direct messaging.
Good, good. So again, it has been a pleasure talking with you. And of course, we're going to figure out we're going to do something else. But
Okay, I'm down. I love it.
we are closing this part out to open up
Yeah,
something different and something new.
absolutely.
And thank you again for all your time, especially 5 parts. And we did it. High five.
Yes, virtual high fives. Yeah,
Virtual high
well, thank
five.
you so much, because this was really kind of your dream child. I know we kind of talked about it. We fantasized about what it might look like to make it come to life. And then as soon as you just put your plan in place, so this is really props to you for bringing it to the people.
Well, I needed y'all to keep me going. Like you say, you need that amen crowd sometime.
Yes,
So thank you
yes.
again. Thank you again. You have a great weekend and we will talk soon. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining, and keep abreast to what's next at Ms. Entertainment. And we're out. Salute. Stay safe, everybody. That was another great show. I want to thank Miss Amy Loudermilk, which is a talent acquisition guru and branding expert. She's always giving us some great tips and tools for our toolbox. So if you have any questions, hit me up at info@terradoneent.com. That's info@terradoneent.com, and I will definitely hit you back. Until next time, salute.